How's it going? How's it going? Today is in the title. Is back in Biceps Day today. It's a good day overall. Now, I think on the schedule today for the lift, it's going to include some shrugs of some sort. Because I was kind of thinking to myself just now, I haven't really done shrugs in a little bit. I don't really train. There we go. I don't really train like shrugs or, directly really my upper traps anymore like I used to. And, there's one thing, a part of my physique that I need to on my back, I think, is like my traps, which is like my lower part, compared to like my lats. I should increase my lats too. Overall, right, in the gym, this is really like put some glasses on. But overall, everyone's like, what are my weak points in the gym? And for one, those are the guys who usually just started, like, everything's a weak point, brother. Like, just get everything up. You'll be all right. But also, let's just say you're a guy, who's been in the gym for long enough. You don't really have, quote unquote, you might have weaker points, right? Yeah, focus on those areas a little bit more, but always do everything else. Like, there's a guy named, I think his name is James English or something. I just watched one of his videos with that Julian guy on TikTok, and he says he doesn't do biceps. And that's a circumstance where, his whole thing is classic bodybuilding, and he doesn't do biceps just because they would get too big. That's a, crazy thing to say, but for him, it makes sense. That's one of his strong points. You'll have strong points, but just overall work on everything, right? Like, obviously, if your triceps, like let's say you're doing a side chest and your arms look way worse than your chest does, either do a little more volume, arms maybe, a little bit more intense if you can, or maybe decrease the volume of your chest days. Like maybe do, instead of 2 days a week of chest, do 1 day a week of chest. And honestly, your chest might grow more from doing that. So then equivalent that to other muscle groups. Maybe you should only work out 1 day a week on muscle groups then, on certain ones or whatever. So, you'll figure it out. But from what my experience with lifting is 2 days a week for each muscle group, with smaller muscle groups like your shoulders, your forearms, your calves, try to fit them in as much as you can because those muscle groups grow a lot and they recover fast. Like your traps, your forearms, dude, they grow so fast and they recover extremely well. That's, unlike, like hamstrings and like my abductors, they take a beating every leg day, dude. Like, I don't even have to directly focus on it much, and they are sore. Way more sore than my quads are, and they're getting way more neglected than my hamstrings or my calves are. So it just really depends on you as an individual, how you grow from training, what you do in training, and just go from there. If you are neglecting certain muscle groups, you'll most likely see that. If you're a guy who is the guy who has this really strong looking chest but has really weak arms, and you continue to just do what you're doing and you keep growing your chest and you keep growing your chest, but then your arms kind of lag behind always, you kind of should know and learn what you're doing is not maybe directly helping your physique. Like, unless you like that physique, like you want the big chest, small arms kind of look, then go for it, right? I'm not gonna, if that's what makes you happy and what makes you feel satisfied with your physique, go for it. Like I'm sure James English, the guy I was just talking about in his biceps, if he didn't do classic physique, if he didn't do bodybuilding, but he just wanted big arms, I'm sure he would do arms. But since his goals aren't, just to look, well, his goals obviously are to look better, but he wants to win a bodybuilding competition, he's not going to do what always is fun for him, right? And maybe he doesn't want to train arms in general. Who knows? I don't know James at all. I barely ever watch his content. He seems really cool, though. But, contradicting to everything else in science-based, do what works for you. A lot of times you'll see studies of stuff that will work for you, But not everything is directly for every person in this world. You know, there's so many people in this world. Not every study is going to work for everyone. When you see a study of a test of 100 people, there's always like 5 of them at least that had opposite side effects from the other 95%, or, you know, whatever not. So, like I always say, do your research. Most importantly, put those research studies into practice and then see what works for you. Because, like I said, not everything's going to work like a charm. Let's say you're a guy, like I said before, why am I doing the rock eyebrow raise? You're a guy who might only have to train biceps 1 time a week, and you're going to grow like that, right? Compared to the guy who needs to train them 3 or 4 times to even get a little bit of growth, you know? Because some people are just more lucky than others. It's just a lot about genetics, your ligaments, everything, you know? Leverages are a big thing, you know? So some guys' incliners are going to hit their flat chest. Some guys' flat chest is going to hit their incline, their upper chest. So you never know. Just like I said, I mean, the main things that will work for everybody is get 8 hours of sleep minimum, 7 to 8. Eat a lot of protein, a lot of carbs, lower fats, moderate fats. Train intense. That's the 3 bigs. You don't need any specific lifts. Like, you don't need to do the compound lifts, right? I mean, the compounds will help with time, right? If you are a guy who only has 20 minutes a day to work out, do compound lifts. You're hitting a lot more muscle groups all in one, right? But if you just, want very, specifics that help you, guaranteed, it's those big 3. Rest properly, train properly, and eat properly. You can go more in specifics like low sugars, all that, REM sleep. But the main point is train hard, sleep really well, and train your diet very well. It's all about training and discipline at the end of the day, because motivation will only get you so far. That's one thing I don't like when I hear about people saying I have all this motivation. I knew a guy who I still know him, but I don't ever talk to him, but he was like on his weight loss journey, and he was so happy. He did a bunch of research, and then he stopped going, and then he's on Facebook again telling all about his weight loss journey. And I'm all for going to the gym, but it's just a consistent thing that people slack on. Some people are really good at it and others will slack. You just got to put yourself in the right path, because you go one path or the other, and sometimes we don't go always the right path that we might think is the right path. But like I said, you live and you learn. So with that, it's gonna make it for this talk, and I will see you guys in there in a second. All right, first movement we got is a rowing movement for the lats specifically. Make sure you're training heavy with these. Make sure you're controlling the weight on the way up and on the way down. Make sure you keep your elbows tucked into your side as close as possible for more lat activation. The more you flare out, the more mid kind of upper back you get, which maybe that's what you want to train for. But for me specifically for this movement, I want to train for my lats. So we're going to be doing around 2 to 3 movements in around the 6 to 10 rep range. Now we're going to be training the traps, and all we're going to be doing is just shrugging, and that's just exploding on the way up, somewhat controlling it on the way down. I think for shrugs you can kind of get away with kind of going relentless and not as much form focus as like the other ones, but make sure you're training still kind of smart with it. But like I said, just train heavy, train hard. I did 2 sets and trained around the 8 to 15 rep range. Now for this movement, we're going to be doing regular pull-ups and superset with assisted pull-ups, just because I'm not the best at pull-ups, and my whole goal isn't to really just get good at pull-ups, but it's a really good exercise for lats, I think, and a good pump. And if you can't really have like a good lat pull-down machine or anything in your gym, pull-ups are a great way to go. I mean, if you can add weight, I'd say do it, but bare minimum, I'd say before you add weight, do around 15 reps. But, if you really want to increase your pull-ups or, just get really good control of your back, I'd say add the assisted ones afterwards just to get a really good squeeze at the top and a really good stretch at the bottom. Now what we're going to be doing is cross-body hammer curls. Just a really good exercise for the biceps overall and for your brachialis, which is that top part of your forearm, which you can see on me right there. We're going to be training pretty heavy with these because we're going single arm. If you do double arms like at the same time, it's a little harder, but train effectively. And make sure you're doing cross-body right in front of you to get the best, I think, brachialis and bicep and long head on your bicep, which will give you that peak. And train heavy and intense, like I said. We did 2 sets. Now for our last exercise today is going to be for the biceps, obviously. And we're just going to be training the cable, I think, behind the back bicep curls. Just really good for the overall peak of your bicep as well, but overall bicep development. We're going to be training moderately heavy, not too heavy where I can constrict my form, but not too light where I'm just doing reps for whatever reason. But we're going to be going to failure, adding partials at the end, and we're going to be training 2 sets of this as well. And at the end, do some hammer curls if you can. And that's really it, y'all. 2 sets. Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, yo? So, after that eventful back and biceps day, all you guys didn't see was these thick bar kind of preacher curl looking things. Some sets, obviously, of, whatever. Shoulders, which was lateral raises, and rear delt bent over kind of raises with just dumbbells. And then, like, a set of, like, whatchamacallit? Reverse pec dead for rear delts again. So got shoulders out of the way for tomorrow and everything, and I'm excited for chest tomorrow. Like, it's gonna be hype. I gotta try this new machine tomorrow just to really see what it's like. But I gotta sneeze, I think. My body's telling me no, my mind's telling me yes. I don't have to sneeze. I have to sneeze, but I don't have to sneeze. But on terms of just life, it's looking pretty good. I have a big decision coming up. I can't tell you guys yet, and I don't know if I will, right? But, if you see some changes, it probably happened. But I can't say anything. But on terms of just the lift today, can't complain about anything. It was intense, like I said it would be. It was fun. I think the main thing's part of your lifts, right, that you need to check off is it intense? Is there a sufficient amount of sets? Is there is there not enough, or is there too many? And then 3, is it fun, right? And then 4, does it fit your time criteria? If it was too long, right, shorten it up. If you have 45 minutes in the gym only, spend 45 minutes in the gym. That's it. Either that means if you are a yapper, you better get your sets done and fast so you can yap a little bit, right? Because I know a couple people who are yappers, and they spend their whole time in the gym just yapping, and then guess what? Oh, I didn't get a pump, or oh, I didn't get a good workout. You wonder why. Because you're yapping the whole time. It's not because anything else of any other criteria. It's because you were yapping. But, other terms of the lift today, I don't know why I keep saying on the terms of the lift. I already talked about it. I'm a little brain fogged right now, but I got a fortune cookie when I got Panda Express before the lift. Every lift, you need to get carbs, right? I'm doing more research, right? And everything like that. But the one thing I know 100% sure is you need carbs. But I'm going to open this fortune cookie real quick and tell you guys all about it. I got everywhere. For success today, look first towards yourself. For success today, look first to yourself. I'm looking at myself. I wonder what that means. But other than that, I have nothing more to say today, y'all. I kind of discussed everything I wanted to in the beginning. So, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.